Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
How's it going, Wade?
Good. I think I was muted that entire time.
I think you were. I didn't hear you.
Okay, this is what happens when you let me drive the bus. Let's try this again. Welcome to CPG Vibes number 162. No script, just chat. This is truly no script, just chat. As I mentioned while I was muted, see, this is why I need Alex with me, because one of the last things he says before we go live every episode is remember to unmute. And guess what I didn't do? Remember to unmute. So I'm unmuted now. Alex, as I mentioned when I was muted, is having some technical issues and may or may not be joining later. In his place, we have our emergency co-host and also this week's sponsor, Tim Richards with Philosopher Foods. Tim, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Likewise, Wade. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. This is like I don't know, frick and frack. We got bald, we got hair, we've got all these different things going on here. So it should be a fun show. The laundry list items, I'm going to be very quick. We've got we're the number 1 rated show on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars if you haven't already. I'm going to put that link in the chat right now. We have our YouTube channel at youtube.com at CPG Vibes. We have our ongoing sponsor, and that is Shelf Made. And I'll put the link up to that in a minute. But calling all food and beverage founders, whether you're just getting started, scaling fast, Shelf Made is your go-to resource to launch and grow your brand smarter. To get access to their community, founder chats, exclusive events, free trainings that help you take the next step without spending a dime. It's perfect for anyone who wants a taste of Shelf Made before going all in. But if you're ready to level up, you can go pro with the Inner Circle and unlock full access to all the premium self-paced course, weekly expert strategy calls. They have 10 to 15 each month, member directories, live coaching, retail calendars, replays, and more. It's everything you need. You can learn more and join free or upgrade at shelfmadecpg.com. And you want to use the code CPG Vibes at checkout to get $100 off your membership. Again, that's $100 off your membership at shelfmadecpg.com by using the code CPG Vibes. So let me see if I can get that link up. It's hard driving the bus by yourself. And it's like, Tim, it's like driving a stick shift if you haven't done it ever or in like a long time. So I'll put that link up here. So we can get started. And Tim, for those of our audience or listeners after the fact that aren't familiar, tell us about yourself and your company.
Absolutely. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Tim Richards. I'm the founder and chief philosopher of Philosopher Foods. We make a line of snack nuts known as gut nuts, which are actually the world's first and only fermented nuts, as well as a line of sprouted almond butters that have been on the market for about 12 years. We actually just celebrated 12 years in business this Tuesday on Earth Day. So that's been a big milestone to have. Oh, we got an Alex beaming in.
Yeah, there he is. There he is.
Cool.
Yeah.
Keep talking. Don't let me interrupt.
Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, no worries. So we're celebrating 12 years in business and really excited to defy all statistics and still be thriving in CPG after all that time.
Nice. So I've got the link up, philosopherfoods.com. In addition, you also are currently doing a Wefunder, and I'm going to put that link up here as well. To date, and I don't know how long, you can tell us a little bit about that here after I put the link up. but you are currently at, as of this minute, $623,000. 623,541 is the number now. What, and it looks like your goal is 662, just short of 663. Tell us a little bit about that real quick, and then we'll go over to Alex.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, it's a little deceiving, right? Because most of that money we've raised previously, so we don't have anything to show for it anymore. But on the new raise, we've raised a little over 10,000. We're about 10,550 of the new raise last I checked. And so that's, a little over 21% of our goal of 50,000, which is our first goal on Wefunder, to get us any money at all. So we got to hit that first before we get on to our next level.
Got it. So the link that I have up here is wefunder.com/philosopherfoods. That's plural. And that's the correct link. Am I right?
That is
awesome.
Right. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So Alex is out roaming the streets of somewhere. Alex, tell us what's going on.
Yeah. And just a big fan of the product, by the way, for Philosopher. And I don't know if it was mentioned, we worked on his campaign. And then, Tim, I'm planning to invest. The good thing is I can, some funds came available, so I'm going to invest this weekend in you guys. So I'll finally get, thanks for your patience, I'll put some money in there.
Thank you.
So, so with all that said, it's kind of a long story, but I am in Houston. I'm helping my wife with a trade show. I'm looking after my son, and he's with our nanny right now. And we got locked out of the Airbnb. So we're waiting for them to open the door for us. And I'm like, should I jump into the show even though I'm on my phone? I'm like, well, I can't break tradition. So here I am. So you're going to be seeing the background of downtown. And let me know if my connection's okay. You're going to be seeing the downtown Houston. I'm just literally roaming the streets, waiting for the landlord to show up to open the door. So that's what's happening. So we'll make it work.
Well, you missed the beginning, Alex, and one of the thing you say before we go live every week is remember to unmute. And guess what I didn't do? Which was it was kind of fun because I did the whole intro, I did it good, and I brought Tim on, and it's like, oh shoot,
it's a lot of pressure to run the show.
Well,
it's a lot of pressure,
and, with the different stuff back and forth. So
we got
it going now. So so excellent. So Alex is in Houston, and Tim, you're based out of?
I'm in Santa Cruz, California.
Excellent. Santa Cruz, and of course I'm in North Carolina. So so we've got, so tell us the idea, the background with your product, your brand. Tell us how it started. What was the idea, or how did you come up with the idea? Because as you said, it's the first. There's nothing like it in the market. So tell us a little bit about how you got to, came up with this concept.
Totally. Yeah. So initially, I was laid off from my nonprofit job that I moved to California for. I was trying to figure out, oh God, what do I do with my life? And, how do I make a living in a way that aligns with my values, right? Background, I graduated from Haverford College, degree in philosophy, went on to work in environmental nonprofits. And it was really important to me to figure out how to make money in a way that aligns with myself as a thinker, an activist, and an eater. And also I had a bunch of gut health issues. So I went to India and, got super sick, and basically my gut never recovered. Couldn't tolerate gluten, sugar, anything. And then, so I was trying to figure out my health issues. So I was studying to be a holistic health coach, and I learned about sprouting and how sprouting can make food sweeter, more digestible, more nutritious. And I thought, wow, that sounds good. I'm going to try to sprout some almonds. So I did. They were the most delicious almonds that I ever made. And I thought, man, this will make a really good almond butter. Ground it up, made some for myself, and it was delicious. And I shared some with my housemates. They're like, dude, this is like the best almond butter. You gotta make this a business. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Trying to figure out what to do with my life. Come 2013, California passes the Homemade Food Act, which actually legalizes selling food out of your home kitchen for certain food products. And I realized, wow, for $75, I could actually just start selling this to people. And a couple months later, I basically got what I call a download from the universe. And it was pretty clear message. Stone cold sober, by the way, wasn't on any kind of ayahuasca or anything. And, I basically realized that my life's purpose was to start a sprouted almond butter company to teach people about the importance of sprouted food. And, also change the way that almonds are grown from being degenerative monocultures to regenerative polycultures. I don't know if you guys ever driven up and down the 5 in California, but it's kind of like almond desert as far as you can see. Basically, almond trees growing with nothing else allowed to be alive. And the almond trees are on life support. They got a ton of water and chemicals keeping them alive, and nothing else, no greenery, anything. And I'm like, well, we could make that look more like, nature. We could make that look more like a forest. So that's how I got into the regenerative agriculture side of things. And yeah, that's really the genesis of the story. About a year later, I was making our sprouted almond butters. I decided to launch the company, got a bunch of orders. They never stopped coming in. Quickly outgrew the home kitchen, had to get a back to the local restaurant, outgrew that, had to get our own 200 square foot facility in Berkeley. Night we moved in there, I started sprouting the almonds like normal. Came in the next morning and they're bubbling. And I'm going, oh God, I ruined all these almonds. Hundreds of pounds of almonds just gone. So I was pretty devastated, and I was walking to throw them away in the sink. And along the way, I caught a whiff of a smell. I was like, what is that smell? I don't even, is that sourdough? I think I know that smell. So I tried it, and sure enough, sourdough almonds. So that was really how I created gut nuts, which are the first and only fermented nuts on the market. These are the fermented almonds, and these are the fermented cashews. And I really call it was my defining moment, was my happy accident. I like to call it my snackcident. And that was kind of the pivot point in the business, where it was like we went from the sprouted almonds and sprouted almond butter as the focus to fermented nuts. And that's where we are today, trying to bring gut health into snack nuts, and also trying to snackify fermented food to bring it out of the perimeter and into the center of the grocery store.
Nice.
And I'll jump in as well. And let me know if the connection, I'm trying to triangulate where the connection's at its best. And I think on this side of the building is where the connection's great. That his product is phenomenal. And as we're traveling, I was actually going to bring a jar of the almond butter, but I thought they would throw it away at the security clearance, because it's kind of liquidy. And is it a liquid? Is it not? And sometimes security throws stuff away if it's slightly liquid, right? But needless to say, the product's great. It's in our household. We love it. We have it every single day. So I wanted to center it really back towards kind of the fundraising side to all this. And part of what we're going to be talking about today is the crowdfunding side. And we're going to provide some tips and all that good stuff. So you actually raised previously, right, Tim, on a first Wefunder, and it was like very successful. I know this one's just starting, so you're about 10,000 in. But what were some things that you did your first time around to get some success on your Wefunder? Then I can kind of jump in with some tips from my side. But I want to hear from you. What did you do the first time to really get some momentum there?
Yeah, well, we basically had raised off platform at that point. I don't know, maybe 400K or so of convertible note. Then we moved that from private raise to public raise on Wefunder. And so I think it helped showing that previous history that we had raised off platform to be like, this is a legitimate business that has a lot of investment behind it already. Now we're just taking it to the crowd to try to get it a little bit further. So I think that was one key to success. The other key to success was blasting it out to my newsletter, because we have a bunch of fans that are just fanatical about the product. And, we raised a little over 100K total on the first Wefunder go round. And, half of that was from 2 fans, right? They both throw in 25K each. So if I hadn't emailed it to those email lists, like that wouldn't have happened. So definitely, yeah, becoming investors in those super fans, that's really been key for our success.
Yeah, and I will add, I think that's a really good thing you're touching on, getting into our subject this week on, if you're looking to fundraise, and obviously reach out to me, because that's what I do for half of my time is crowdfunding consulting and building campaign pages on Wefunder, helping on Start Engine, and our agency Genius Dreams. Reception is okay here. Sorry, it keeps cutting out.
I was gonna say you cut out, and now you're frozen.
You guys hear me okay? Okay.
You
So
froze there for a second.
I think it's cutting me out when I'm saying something that isn't important. So I'm going to say important things only right now. That's how it works, right? When you get cut out. So when it comes to raising and getting that early momentum, and what Tim was just saying, is you want to get your community, people that buy the product, that go into the stores, that love the product. and your email list and your friends, family, suppliers, co-packers, previous investors. Usually the first 150 to 200,000 that you raise on a Wefunder, let's say, or Start Engine is going to be from people that already know you. And honestly, like if you're just depending on Wefunder to help you raise that money, it doesn't work like that. You have to make a lot of calls and smile and dial and reach out to everyone, like put a list together on Excel spreadsheet of every kind of person that you've met for the last like 20 years, whether it's a family friend, whether it's a supplier, a partner. And so you need to raise your first 150, 200,000 from your own community before you start getting the momentum from the Wefunder investors, who are the people that don't even know you. They've never heard of you. Maybe they saw your product somewhere, but they don't know who you are. So that's a really key thing to getting momentum on crowdfunding is you got to do a lot of groundwork, reach out to a lot of people to get that early momentum. So going back to it, where did you start seeing momentum from Wefunder, Tim, in your first raise? Was it like the first 100,000, or like where was the turning point? The 25,000 people coming in. Like where did you see really the momentum shift happen on your campaign?
I think it was around the $50,000 point when we had those two investors come in for 25K each. As you said, I think there's an algorithm thing, Alex, where you have to hit 50K to start getting any kind of visibility in their algorithm.
Yep, to show up on the main site, you
Yeah.
have to be at 50. Yeah,
Yeah. So that's when we started to see, more investors that we hadn't known that weren't from our fan list.
makes sense. And another thing that Wefunder has that also really helps is they have they have email marketing. So once you hit 50,000, they send out an email that goes out to a few 100,000 people. You don't really raise that much from that initial email from Wefunder because it's a shared email. There's like 10 brands on there or 5 brands on there. But I tell all my clients that once you get to 250, right? I remember we talked about this, Tim. Like once you get to 250 raised on your platform, on your campaign, Wefunder then sends out an email that's highly algorithmic and curated for investors that are likely to invest in something like Philosopher Foods, right? Maybe they've invested in the past in, natural brands or natural beverage, natural food. And so that highly curated email usually lands between 25 and 100,000 overnight raised on the campaign. So I think the big message is Tim was successful the first time around, and now he's finding some success this time by getting his community to come in. They come in and put in 50, 100, 150,000, and then the rest of the momentum really happens on the Wefunder campaign. And it's kind of like anything else, right? If you get people in, it's going to attract more people, like a busy restaurant, to invest. So what other strategies are you doing on packaging? Are you putting anything on the packaging, QR codes? Like what are you doing there?
Yeah, we have our little QR code on the bag, and I've had it pointed to our Wefunder page for the
Nice.
since we launched at Expo. And by the way, I highly recommend everyone working with Alex. I think, what did we give you?
Oh,
Was it 10 days, Alex, or was it even less to get us
I,
going before
I
Expo?
think I think it was like 6 to 7 business days because you wanted to be live by Expo West, and you contacted us a week before. So yeah, it was fast turnaround.
Yeah, and you made it happen, even though your colleague got sick in the
Yeah,
process.
that was interesting. Like she almost never gets sick, and she got COVID the entire week that we were working on it. And I remember I had to pick up some things I normally didn't do on my own, and got that done for you. I think I was up till midnight getting that thing launched, but we did it.
Thank you. Yeah, and we had it
The,
ready for
the
the
gut the gut nuts were keeping me going, so it all worked.
That's perfect. Yeah, we raised 5,000 at the show, so I'm glad we made that happen.
There you
Nice.
go.
So we have a couple questions. I know, Tim, you were trying to answer, but just for the interest of those that are either maybe listening after the fact or to expand further on this. So from Andrew Friedman, his first question was, and I think we can talk through this, what percent of eventual, there's two pieces here, what percent of eventual hoped for raise is necessary to get to that point? And he says his understanding is that it costs 50% of the expected raise to get to the final hoped for number. Is that, and I throw it out to either one of you as far as insight into that piece.
Well, Tim, just since you're fresh doing the campaign right now, and you did it a few years back. How much did you spend on marketing? And then I can tackle that question next. I'd like to hear your story on that.
I mean, I spent effectively nothing last time.
Yep.
I ran,
Nothing.
I put the campaign up myself. I didn't hire you last time. I didn't spend a dime on any kind of marketing
Yeah.
whatsoever, and I got 100K. Now, given it took me the full rate, the full length of the term, I think it was 9 months or something was the max back then. But yeah, I got to 100K with zero invested effectively.
Yep. I'm going to echo on that where there's a misnomer that you have to spend money on social media ads, paid ads. The unfortunate thing with there's a lot of agencies, right? Like you probably remember this, Tim. When you sign up for Wefunder Start Engine, you're getting like freaking emails, right, from agencies saying, "Hey, we notice you're launching a campaign. If you want our help on the marketing side for social media and paid ads on Google or whatever, Facebook, Instagram, etc., let us know. We can help you there." We hired an agency for our first WeFunder under Genius Juice, the brand that I ran for 11 years. And I raised about 500,000 on WeFunder the first time. Then the second time on another platform, I raised about a million, 1.07 million. So 1.7 million total. So that's how I learned how to do crowdfunding and how I fell in love with it and started helping other brands to raise money. We paid $2,000 for social media ads. It produced almost nothing. We fired the agency and did all organic marketing after that, whether it's a QR code on the bottle, or in this case, a bag, right? Or talking with people or going to events. It's all about how you pitch people and how you approach people and how you resonate with them, right? And get them excited about the investment opportunity. Like it's all about you. There's no shortcuts. You can't advertise to 10,000 people on social media. The problem is that the conversion rates are very low. If you think about that, right? When you advertise on social media, let's say for a vitamin, it's a lot easier to get people to convert and spend 20 bucks, 30 bucks, 50 bucks on a supplement or a drink or almond butter, right? When you're advertising to someone that has never heard of you to go on and invest and use their credit card, on this platform they may have never been on before, and they're investing 250, 500 or $1,000, the conversion drops dramatically on those people that you're advertising to. So that's the problem with using paid ads for crowdfunding. So I guess to bring it home, I don't as having an agency and consulting people for a living, I highly do not recommend or I highly recommend against doing paid ads, social media ads when it comes to crowdfunding. And some of the clients that ignored my advice and went to do it, they spent a lot of money with almost zero results. So the best way is organic marketing. So
Nice. So, Tim, tell us a little bit with this round that you're raising now. What's your intent to, with the money that you do raise? What are you going to use it for? What's the plan?
Yeah, well, we committed a cardinal sin, Wade, and we opened our own production facility. So, it's pretty rare to have a CPG brand do that. But, I decided, in addition to running a sales and marketing company, I also want to run a manufacturing company. And it's been a great decision, right? Honestly, gut nuts would not exist as a product if we didn't make that move. I couldn't find any co-packers to touch it. So we were kind of forced to. The silver lining is, we've got great cogs, best cogs we've ever had. We've got the best quality we've ever had. We're producing products that we wouldn't have been able to make, and including fermented peanuts, which is our newest launch on Earth Day, because no co-packers wanted to touch peanuts. So again, all that's great, but it's just a lot more expensive on the overhead side until we get to the scale that we need. So it's going to really help us do marketing, right, to grow our sales channels on the branded side. But we're also opening new revenue streams for co-packing and private label. In the time of tariffs, everyone's looking for domestic everything. And so we can actually be a domestic manufacturer for people. And so we're trying to really grow that side of the business because that's the easiest way to grow revenue quickly without increasing expenses as well. So marketing for the branded side, marketing for the co-packed side, and just kind of the cash to make all that happen until we can reach break even, which we're trying to do this year.
Got it. So we have this platform. So talk to us a little bit about that co-pack. What are your capabilities? What categories? What items? What can you do for those that might be interested in co-packing?
Yeah, so we can anyone that puts anything into a stand-up pouch that's dry and shelf stable, we can fill that, and that's where we have most of the downtime on our line is with our pouching machine. We don't yet have vertical form fill, but we're looking to get one of those machines as well.
What is that? What does that machine do? He said vertical. What is that?
So the difference between a stand-up pouch and a vertical form fill pouch is that these pouches come made like this with the gusset, and all you got to do is fill them. And so that's what we're set up to do all day long. And anyone that wants to put anything in a bag, we can help them. What we can't do yet is, I don't have it in front of me, but there's like smaller, 1 and 2 ounce pouches that are more like on a hang tab. Those are called vertical form fill because the bag is literally formed around the product as you fill it. So that's a separate machine that we're going to probably get as a next step to be able to co-pack even more stuff for more people.
And so if someone's interested in talking to you about that, what's the best way to contact you?
Yeah, so I'll actually drop in my colleague Elliot's email. He's our director of operations, and he's in charge of getting all of our co-manufacturing business in the door. So yeah, again, we can do pouching. We can do stone grinding of nut butters is our specialty. We can deposit any kind of liquid into jars or plastic bottles or whatever. We can do sprouting. We can do fermenting. We can do dehydrating, pre-grinding, grinding into nut butters. Yeah, that's a pretty good, and also repackaging. Like if you have a bulk bag of, let's say, dried pineapple chips that you need to put into a small bag, we can do that repack work as well.
Yeah, there's one thing also I'll mention that I'm not sure if you mentioned it earlier, Tim, but about the sprouting, like the process of the sprouting, and did you talk about that before I hopped on?
I didn't get in super detail, but you can go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean the big takeaway from it, because there's a lot of the process and how it's done, and like there's all that, but sprouted is becoming and the reason to invest in Philosopher Foods is as cars are passing by, hopefully they can hear me here. Dizzy Street is really the sprouting. So the category of sprouted nuts has exponentially grown in the last few years as there's more awareness around the fact that non-sprouted nuts can cause a lot of digestive issues. It's hard for your system, your stomach, to break down non-sprouted nuts. So by sprouting it and breaking down that protective layer on the nut by soaking them, and there's an intricate process that I'm sure Tim can slip on his white lab coat and tell us about all that, the science side to it. And you look good in that white lab coat. I like when you have that thing on. And so, but at the end of the day, it's easier on your gut, the sprouted nuts. And from someone who has had gut issues, just like you've had, Tim, for many, many years, sprouted really is a lot easier, and you don't really feel it as much, and actually you feel good and you feel satiated. There's one comment also that I want to address here, which is about organic growth. Stop saying nuts. So with organic growth, when you launch a crowdfunding campaign, you need to align all the different silos, which as Tim has talked about, right? There's different silos to get people in organically to invest in your campaign. So one is going to be packaging and having a QR code. Another one is doing events and advertising it. Another one is coming up with a contact list of people that you can reach out to. But one important thing that was mentioned, I think, by Jeff Lakowski is also having a organic social media presence. And when I say organic, it's Tim hopping on his social media, with his white lab coat or whatever, and in character, and saying, "Hey, make sure to invest in us." And thank you so much. We've hit $10,000 on all these things. So you're basically thanking your community and acknowledging that they've helped you get this far. But you're also speaking to them through social media and through email as you're going through your campaign and as your campaign progresses and as you hit milestones. So I think like the email, social media, in-person meetings, calling people, packaging QR codes, going to events, reaching out to friends and family. You need to scrounge up everything in order to have a successful campaign. And that's been in my experience to make it successful.
Yeah, and just to back, I know we had a request not to say nuts, but just to explain a little bit more about the science, I'm going to get my lab coat on in a second by your request, Alex.
Thanks.
The scientific word that I like to use to describe what you said is the feeling that you get when you eat too many nuts and get kind of bloated and heavy. We like to call that nut gut, right? And we like to say that gut nuts are the antidote to nut gut. Right. So as you said with sprouting, right, there you kind of start to break it down with sprouting. But the thing is about sprouting, it doesn't fully break it down, right? There's something called phytic acid in the raw seed. And the data, a lot of people think that sprouting breaks phytic acid down. It actually doesn't. So it does make the nuts more nutritious, but we're not exactly sure the mechanism of why. But we know, we've studied it with Utah State University, that fermentation actually reduces phytic acid by 41% compared to raw almonds. So there's a measurable reduction with fermentation that's not there with sprouting. The other difference between fermentation and sprouting is that whereas with sprouting, you get about a 2 to 4x increase in the antioxidants that were present in the raw nuts, you actually get an 8 to 9x increase in antioxidants with the fermented nuts. So I'm not knocking sprouting. It's absolutely essential. It's the right first step, but I'm also advocating to go beyond it and also do fermenting and get sprouted and fermented, which is what you have with gut nuts.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah, and the gut nuts have that kind of umami taste to it because of the fermentation, and it's addictive in a really good way, right? Addictive can sometimes have a bad connotation, but the bag is usually gone. And I think the one thing too, it adds a lot of great texture to it because it's very, very crunchy. It's not as rubbery. And I know you did some work with Daily Crunch, right? Who's also sprouted with Laura, right? Laurel Orley. And so it's just a nice texture. So there's also some other platforms out there as well for crowdfunding. And I think people have asked me like which one to go with, right? And there's Start Engine, there's Wefunder, there's Republic. So if anyone has any questions, like in the chat, ask us anything about what platform to go with. But I can kind of quickly address that. Wefunder is usually my go-to, as far as when I recommend clients, right? And Tim has had now 2 campaigns on Wefunder. I've had 1 campaign on Wefunder. And but Start Engine is also a solid one. But Start Engine is really for brands that are more. It could be for an early stage brand. It doesn't matter, or mid or later stage. But I think Start Engine is more strict about bringing in brands that are at least hitting a couple million revenue or more, like they have momentum. That's not always the case, but that's typically like their go-to rule, and they do make exceptions. I know in this case with Philosopher Foods, you were set on Wefunder from the beginning, Tim. But some people may be wondering, Start Engine, how does it work? And it is a formidable campaign. It is a great platform. One of the key differences with Start Engine too is they typically like equity. So Start Engine does equity. Wefunder is more accepting, where they do safe notes, which I think that's what you're on. Safe or convertible, Tim? Remind me.
Convertible notes, yeah.
You're on convertible, yeah, because that's the outside raise plus you combined it with the online raise.
Yep.
And so there's convertible note, safe note, and equity on Wefunder. On Start Engine, like they really prefer equity. And some earlier stage brands just don't want to do equity raises because you don't know exactly what your valuation is yet, right? You have a valuation cap on a note, but it's subject to change. So a lot of people kick the valuation down the road and they go with a note. So I just wanted to explain kind of the differences between the two. Honestly, those are the only two that I recommend. There's a bunch of other ones out there. There's like Republic, which I don't recommend. There's like these other ones that are much smaller that I don't recommend. The other key thing that I get a question about is Canada. And for whatever reason, I don't know the legalities around it. I don't know the reason why. Like someone needs to maybe pop in and see, tell us if you know more than we do. But for whatever reason, there's many provinces in Canada that are not allowed to use Wefunder or Start Engine. And I have no idea why. I don't know why they're barred from raising on those 2 platforms. And also, if you're looking for investors from Canada, these 2 platforms, don't allow it. in many regions. And this has been happening for a while. This is not recent, like with the tariff stuff or anything. This has been happening for years. And so if anyone has any insight as to why, I would love to learn more. But that's kind of I think a con, like not a good thing that they're not allowing Canadian investors because the consumer in Canada loves US brands and vice versa. It goes both ways across the border. So it's a shame they don't allow Canadian investors to come in, but it is what it is. I just wanted to mention that.
I'm wondering if it has to do with the investment crowdfunding legislation being American legislation.
It probably has something to do with it. I'm just wondering why they would bar someone from Canada to invest in a US company since it's all North America. So that's the part that's like, why? Is there a security issue? Is it? I just don't understand it. There's a comment here that I just saw.
Which one?
Start Engine is really well done. I like the info tabs and the way to display financial. The other thing about Start Engine is they have more of a closed system, so they design the page for you. So like with our agency Genius Dreams, right? Myself and my partner Michelle, we design the campaign page, the images, the copy. We do everything from A to Z because that takes like 30, 40 hours, right? So Tim didn't have time to build his campaign page because he was preparing for Expo West. So he hired us to do it and execute it to position it to raise as much money as possible. But Start Engine, they do it for you. It just takes longer and there's a little more red tape. It's still a phenomenal platform, but just know that if you want hands off and you want them to do it for you and you don't care about customizing it as much, Start Engine is better for you. But if you want to highly customize it and be in control of everything from copy to images to perks to everything from A to Z, then Wefunder is more of an open system and a better fit for you.
Nice. Great. So Tim, how long Gut Nuts have been out for how long now?
It's been about 2.5 years now in the market. It's only been about since Expo 2024 with the current branding and packaging. And Peanuts just launched this week. So it's so new. I don't even have a pouch. I only have the first two, but
you sent one to me. I love it. It's great.
And so when you look at your business now, when you break down, you have the sprouted butters and nut butters, and you have the gut nuts. What's the breakdown of percentages of your overall business of butters versus the packaged nuts?
Yeah, so Gut Nuts it's a new contender on the block. So it was about 20% of revenue last year. So it was 80% nut butter still last year. This year we're a little bit north of 30% Gut Nuts and 70% nut butter. So it is a growing product line. And we hope to flip that on its head by the end of the year and really just punch Gut Nuts through the roof. So that's the goal.
And what does distribution look like for you now? Where can the people that are listening or watching? Obviously, your website. I put that link up here a minute ago. 25% off through May 1st. But as far as retail presence, where are you at with those products now?
Yeah, so retail is kind of very mixed. The best way to find out is go to our website. We have a store locator. We'll call it 300, 350 stores nationwide, mostly on the West Coast, but not entirely. Like today, Park Slope Co-op in Brooklyn just ordered all 3 Gut Nuts. We've been opening a lot of random stores all over the country through Fair Market. It's been a great platform for us. So yeah, we're hoping to get into Sprouts full time. Knock on wood, waiting to hear back on the category review. But if it goes well, we'll be nationwide in the superfood set in September. It's about 250 of the Sprouts stores. Other than that, we're in Whole Foods in Northern California with both Gut Nuts and both nut butters. And we're in Nugget Markets in NorCal. We're in Erewhon and SoCal, looking to open up Market of Choice in Pacific Northwest. And full list on the website.
Cool. Yeah, I like the approach on, and I
and he's gone. This is maybe.
I love it. He's like the mystery man today.
Right there, you go. He's just a blank screen right now. So we'll wait for him to come back. So yeah, so it seems like you're focused primarily in California, and certainly you're in NorCal. So that's kind of where your focus is, at least currently.
I mean, we're online. We also sell on Amazon Prime nationwide. We also sell on Thrive Market nationwide. So while our retail is mostly on the West Coast, we do have a nationwide footprint digitally thanks to those e-commerce platforms. But but yeah, we are looking to get in. Like I said, Sprouts would be hopefully our first national retailer to roll out full time. We did the innovation section with them last summer, and so we had a good run with them. They told us we sold well enough to secure full time placement, and we're just gonna fingers crossed that we can make that category reset. That's gonna be live in September.
Got it. Got it. I was going to say Jeff says the cops finally arrived to pick up Alex, but he's
I got out. I got out. You know, I negotiated. I
nice.
negotiated.
No.
Houston's after me. I might need to do an emergency plane trip home. You know, I'm Houston's most wanted out here. And just for anyone who is in the Houston area, hit me up. You know, and I say that not because I think I'm a celebrity. I'm really not. I'm just, I'm very low on the totem pole here. But if you're in Houston or you're nearby, shoot me a text or just LinkedIn message me. There's a coffee specialty expo going on that my wife was at with unlimited coffee, unlimited tea, unlimited matcha from all over the world. So if you want to OD on caffeine, meet me here and I'll take you in there. I'll get you in and you can try some of the best coffee in the world. I don't even drink coffee and I like the coffee here. That's how good it is. Like pour over from all over the world. It's amazing. I wanted to, and I'll be here till Sunday. So I wanted to also point out something that Tim is doing that's really smart, and you're super humble about a lot of this, but like you're doing the right strategy on building your brand. It takes a long time to build a brand, but you're making great products. You're not sacrificing quality. You're not like, I'm going to make a $4 jar that, goes next to all the other ones that are in the grocery store. You stuck to your morals and ethics to make them to me, the highest quality nut butter on the market, right? Almond butter, the alchemy stuff, which has mixed in different nuts. And you're going to where your audience loves you. You're not trying to force it into other stores where it doesn't make sense. So you were saying earlier before I got hauled away by the police, that you really are sticking to Nugget Market, natural stores, fair. So you're not going everywhere. You're really just targeting more natural stores. So like, are you in the infra NCG network? Have you pursued that yet or what's going on there?
We are, yeah. I mean, we're not in very many co-ops at the moment, but we are in, let's call it a couple dozen, mostly on the West Coast.
Okay.
Same with infra, we're in a couple dozen, mostly on the West Coast. I don't think they have a national category thing. We have submitted to NCG's national category review, and basically they were like, yeah, come back when you have a little more distribution. I was like, all right, cool. Like I said,
Yeah.
Park Slope picked us up today in Brooklyn. I was stoked on that. I've been trying to get that account for more than a decade. I think they're an NCG, so that's another NCG to put on our belt.
They're very high volume. Park Slope. They're in Northeast, right? Aren't they?
Brooklyn. Yep.
Brooklyn. Yeah, I think the more the co-ops you can get into, the better, man. And I know you're now focusing on that, but seems like a very natural fit for your product, those people, because they spend money and they look at quality, right?
Totally. 100%. But yeah, I wanted to bring up the Wefunder one more time. One other thing I liked about them as opposed to Start Engine is that while they technically require that you become a C Corp, if you're raising a convertible note, there's flexibility there because a convertible note is technically debt until it becomes equity. So we were an S Corp and they were like, well, you will have to convert when your note converts to equity. But right now you don't need to, basically. Whereas with Start Engine, they were like, oh yeah, you have to be a C Corp. So for me, the expense and headache and legal lift to becoming a C Corp it didn't make sense right now. So that's another thing I liked about Wefunder as opposed to Start Engine.
Yeah, because one big thing is if you're an LLC and you do a note and eventually you convert that over to equity, you're going to have to issue K1s to like 1,000 people, right? Like however many people that invest in your round on wherever, like Wefunder or Start Engine, right? Obviously, Start Engine they want C Corp. So, but the note, which is again I mentioned earlier, if you're doing on a note, Wefunder is a better fit for that. If you're doing equity, Start Engine is the right fit for that. Hence why they want you to be a C Corp. And so you can do it on a note. You can convert it later on a safe note. They're very noisy out here. On a safe,
it's not coming through on this end. We only hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. My mic is good. So a loud racer out of Fast and the Furious just went by. So if you are a note, you can convert it later. And as a safe note, there's no maturity date, right? On a safe note, you can convert it 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. So if you're not a C Corp, that's okay for the interim until you convert it over. And then once you convert your note over to equity, then you would need to switch to a C Corp. So that's a good, like Tim said, that's a good flexibility that Wefunder has.
Nice. Excellent. Excellent. So that trade show I wanted to ask Alex, is that at the convention center?
Yeah, so it's at the not the George Bush, the George Braun. Everyone thinks it's George Bush being in Texas here. George Braun Convention Center. It's actually right next to where the Houston Rockets play. And interestingly enough, the Rockets are in the playoffs right now. They're playing against the Warriors. I don't know what happened in the game I think last night or 2 nights ago, but I know they were down 1-0 when we came in town, the Rockets. But yeah, there's a lot of people with the whole Rockets gear on walking the streets. But yeah, the Coffee Specialty Expo is basically once a year, and they change it every year. So 2 years ago it was in Portland. 1 year ago it was in Chicago. This year it's Houston. Next year it's in your old stomping grounds, Wade, in San Diego. So there you go.
Nice. Well, that's a short trip for you next year. So
a lot shorter than today. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Okay. Well, we've
any other questions in the comments?
I don't see any more questions coming in, but if anyone has any questions, whether crowdfunding or just in general, put them in there. Jeff says, Alex, the only thing that matters is the Celtics are winning, and Jeff, I'll say that so are the Cavs. So just remember that. The Cavs year, baby. This is the Cavs year. Yeah. So good stuff. So, all right, Alex, what else do we need to talk about?
I think we're good. I mean, we can always end a little. It's better to end on top versus us trying to make up content for another 10 minutes, right? So we can go to our prize.
Well, and I know at the beginning, Tim, you told Jeff that you would send him some product because he was the first to comment. So are you saying you wanted to send Jeff some? Are we still doing another for someone else? Is that what we're doing?
Oh yeah, I mean I just felt inspired to reward him for being early and commenting. 6 minutes before the start of the show, he had commented.
He's excited. Jeff lives for the show.
Yes.
So I do have something for. I have a question for. I guess we're doing two today. Jeff just is lucky first. The second one would be. I was going to say I have a question. When Tim was telling his story and he talked about where was he. And I'll just give a hint. It was a country when he became inspired for the whole idea behind his business. Where was that?
Can I answer it as well? Because I wasn't even around to hear what the answer was.
No, I don't. Do you know the answer? I guess is the question.
I don't, but I was just going to start throwing out countries.
Alex just wants more product.
Yeah, I'm out. Did you get the shipment too, Wade?
Yes, I did. We've been working on it. Thank you
for sending that, Tim. I know it's not cheap stuff, and it's not light. It's very heavy.
Look at that. So. Derek Gold, India. Derek Gold's right. He got it.
I know it was one of those spiritual areas.
So Derek, let's see. What did you tell Jeff to do? DM you? Do you want Derek to DM you as well, Tim?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that makes it easy on us. Just Derek DM Tim, and he'll hook you up. Same with Jeff. And
to be clear, India is, I guess you could call it where I got my inspiration.
Right.
Really, it's where my gut got wrecked and forced me to get
right. But that's the India was what I was going for. So we nailed that.
Nice.
It. So okay, cool. Well. So next week, Alex, you want to talk a little bit? We can do this as we're getting ready to sign off here. Next week's show, you will be doing this next week. I will be on out and about with my wife and daughter. But I'll let you talk a little bit about who we have next week and what you're going to be talking about.
Yeah. So next week is the Master Series, I believe, Volume 5, and so we are bringing on. There's going to be a third guest that will be announced shortly. But two of the guests, we have Jeff Church, who has his accelerator Dream Makers, which is on the back banner here. And then we have Will Nitza with IQ Bar, which is, I think, at this point, the fastest growing shelf stable bar in the country right now, between Costco and online and all the different stores. Walmart, he's launching. Took him a while to get there, but now he's there, and he's here, and he's growing a lot. So, and then we're gonna have a third guest as well, and we will announce that on Monday. And as Wade said, you'll be traveling, so I'll be hosting the show, and I'll be bringing on 3 people. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And as always, any of these shows, we're going to be uploading to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. So if you miss any of these shows, or you're traveling, or you couldn't tune in live, just know that you can watch it or listen to it after the fact. And then just a reminder to go on Wefunder, wefunder.com/philosopher foods. You can also Google Wefunder Philosopher Foods. He just broke the 10K mark in a relatively short amount of time. And so make sure to go on there and invest. I'm going to be putting my investment in sometime today. And yeah, please invest in a brand that's helping people live healthier lives. And he's also growing, and he's been growing, and he's going to be profitable this year. So all good stuff.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, Tim, thanks again for joining us and sponsoring. Anything closing for you before we sign off?
I'll just kind of put another plug for gut health. I know you guys were talking to Carolyn from KIF last week, and you heard a lot about how important gut health is, but it's everything, man. It's without it, we can't do anything. You know, as a philosopher, I want to use this opportunity just to remind everyone that the human organism is a holobiont. Google it, HOLOBIONT, which means we're a community of organisms. We basically are like a coral reef where we have to steward all these little microbiomes in order for us to survive as an organism. And so when we feed our gut with optimal nutrient dense food, that is what allows the microbiome in our gut to thrive, which in turn allows our whole human organism to thrive. So I'll just kind of leave you with that philosophical note here on this Friday afternoon to think about.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Tim, thanks again. Alex, good to see you. Have a good show, and we'll see you in 2
Thank
weeks. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how to close this thing on my own. And
It's all you. You
we'll
have the
figure it
panel
out.
now.
We'll figure
Yeah.
out. All right, everybody. We'll see you. Thank you.